Haslam is an interior designer to the rich and famous, but he's equally well known for his legendary circle of friends, which reads rather like a who's who of cultural icons.
And in the 50s, that included Cecil Beaton, Francis Bacon and Noel Coward. In the 60s, it was Cole Porter, Andy Warhol, Jack Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. And now he moves in the same social circles as Tracy Emin, Paris Hilton and Mick Jagger.
Not surprising, then, that Nicky's new autobiography, called Redeeming Features, has been described as a tour de force romp through high society.
Will we go on the list now, do you think?
Oh, I think we're not worthy of it.
I think so.
Do you
we're
think?
not nearly rich and famous
No,
enough.
We're reprinting, so you can go on it immediately.
We'll get in the next issue, maybe. Nice to see you. It's a very interesting read. It starts from a hospital bed, really. Well, it starts with you having polio when you were very young, recovering from polio, when you were stuck away in a plaster cast.
For 2 years, I was in the cast. I had it for about 3 years altogether, but it was 2 years in the cast. And of course, one says looking back how awful, but in fact it was rather quite enjoyable because I was treated so well, and my mother was so solicitous and would bring all the people into my room and they'd roll up the carpet and dance, and I'd listen to all the music, and it was sort of fun in a funny way looking back.
And somebody gave you was it a doll's house, or was it sort of a...
Yes, my father had a friend called A.P. Herbert, the playwright, and his daughter made toys. And for some reason, this huge... It wasn't really a doll's house, it was just a big open house. It didn't have it had a front, but it was always open. And it was just a lot of big boxes in front of it. I could push things around. And
was that the spark for your interior design?
I didn't think so at the time, because I didn't do interior decoration for quite a long time. I worked on Vogue in New York, and I was a cowboy and lived in Los Angeles. When I came back in the 70s and really started decorating, yes, I suppose it was the spark.
I wonder as well whether it made you sort of think, right, I'm out in life now, I'm going to absolutely embrace it, because you met so many phenomenal people.
Wasn't I? Yeah, well, that was pure luck, really, of meeting a few sort of pre-war people when I was very young, who then introduced me to an amazing world that sort of grew and grew and grew.
Tallulah Bankhead you met, didn't you?
Yes, that was funny. I met her in New York. I was taken to stay with her in New York by a man who I'd just met. And I asked my mother if I could go. And she said, "What?" She said, "Tallulah Bankhead," because she'd known her when my mother worked for Fanny Bryce, the original funny girl, on Broadway. And she had a pretty ropey reputation. But anyway, she let me go, and in the end, Tallulah became a very great friend, and she was amazing, and I'm very, very lucky to have known her. She was extraordinary. It's
been reported that you go to 5 parties a night. Is that true? 5
Well,
parties?
I could. But some of them are sort of they're not private parties, they're sort of book launches or boutiques and things, but they can be fun, you know, you always meet, you know, you can always leave, is my theory in life. Take the dare.
Is it fair to say that on average you go to sort of more than 20 functions in a week? Is that about right? About
right, yes. But I mean, well, it depends. Of course, certain weeks have many more functions going anyway. Like last week, there was hardly anything going on. It's very odd.
Oh, I love weeks like that.
So I was in bed in the country all the time. I think it's to do with half terms. That nothing much happens. It's like the traffic suddenly disappears, didn't it, last week? You could drive anywhere.
You could drive anywhere. Interesting that your relationship, you have a distant family relationship with Diana, Princess of Wales, and you described her as enchantingly awkward, shy, with her downward lash smile, badly cut hair, and hopelessly unchic clothes.
Well, she was like that to begin with. Do you remember that famous photograph through the skirt of the book?
Yeah, oh, yes.
And she had sort of real Sloane clothes, didn't she? And that sort of airline hostess hair. But
you designed the salon, didn't she?
She always had that sort of downcast look.
She did.
It was very attractive. Yes, I did the salon for the wedding dress for the Emanuels.
The Queen Mother you knew very well, because you referred to her by her nickname, which was...
Well, people, I don't recall her in the... everybody calls her the Cake, or just Cake.
The Cake?
The
yeah.
Cake.
I think partly she looks like a sort of wedding cake, doesn't she? I mean, a Christmas cake.
You could say so,
but actually, I don't call her the Cake in the book. Many other people have. But she was extraordinary.
But that's not the Queen Mother, of course, that's Liam Gallagher, isn't
well,
it?
it comes to the same thing, really, doesn't it?
Is that... Now, wait a minute, is that you on your bike?
That's me on my bike in Arizona when I was decided to be... And that's Cecil Beaton riding one of my Arabs.
You have really changed your image throughout it. I mean, you say that you're not going to grow old gracefully.
Yeah.
Even faintly.
Try not.
You try not to.
Yeah.
And you dread the thought of looking distinguished.
Well, you know that sort of distinguished look of sort of grey hair and a bowler hat and an umbrella, that sort of old-fashioned, distinguished look. It's sort of wonderful for a minute, but you don't want it forever. I mean, I have tried it.
But your book looks very distinguished. It's the only book I've been given for a long time, well, that I can remember, that's actually got a marker ribbon.
Yes,
isn't that weird?
No, I thought that. Isn't that
That's
lovely?
dead
Well,
posh.
you said it's the Rolls-Royce of publishers, Mr. Cape, or whatever they're called, Jonathan Cape. They're really good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Can you cast your interior design eye over our studio before you leave, by the way?
Well, I think it's pretty good, don't you?
Oh, do you?
Yes.
See,
Marvellous.
that's how you get on with people, because you pay them lots of
That's
compliments.
right. You flatter them.
Probably thinking,
Well, funny enough,
what a vulgar
I've just
what a
done a
vulgar
flat with two curved sofas like this.
Really? We're in.
We're in.
We're in.
Definitely in.
And they're green, not red.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I like that.
Thank you so
very
much.
Nicky's book, Redeeming Features, is out now, and you can see him in High Society, The Wonderful World of Nicky Haslam, on Monday the 16th of November on BBC4 at 10 o'clock.
In a moment, Craig Revel